Saturday Night Live has been called college for up-and-coming and aspiring comedians. Becoming a cast member on the show was a lifelong dream for some and a milestone for their career, the chance to be seen by a large audience on a weekly basis. Comedians like Eddie Murphy, Adam Sandler, and Will Ferrell have all gone from SNL to leading men in comedy that get $20 million per movie. One could argue that SNL is where comedy careers are made. SNL isn't the only sketch comedy show, however, that gives birth to these kind of stars. This was the case for Jordan Peele and MadTV. When Peele first joined the cast, his lifelong comedy partner Keegan were considered a breath of fresh air after most of the original cast had left by 2003. After they joined the cast as main players, they became fan favorites, but by the time Peele left in 2008, he wanted nothing to do with the show, even declining to appear in the 20th anniversary special. Jordan Peele attended Sarah Lawrence College in New York, but dropped out after 2 years to study improvisational comedy. Peele would state early on that it was his dream to get on Saturday Night Live, and he believed he could accomplish that goal. While studying improv and sketch in Chicago, he met Keegan-Michael Key, where the two hit it off immediately. According to The Looper, after watching Peele perform, Key said to an audience member, "This guy is my brother." The very first time we collaborated on a project, you could tell there was something a little bit special happening, something a little bit different. It was very serendipitous. I was working on a show and the show got canceled, and Jordan was working on a pilot and the pilot didn't get picked up. So we happened to both be free at the same time. Our manager said, "What do you guys think about doing a show together?" And we jumped at the chance. After performing in Chicago on a nightly basis for a couple years, Key and Peele became featured cast members on MadTV the same year in 2003. At first, Peele was struggling to find his footing in the cast. According to an interview with Kevin Pollak in 2014, Peele went up to Key and said, "We've got to do this thing together. Otherwise, I don't know if I'm coming back next year." Luckily for Peele, he did return next year. Peele spent a total of 5 seasons and 95 episodes on MadTV, leaving at the end of its 13th season in 2008. Key left the following year in 2009. Despite creating laughs weekly on the show, Peele's relationship with MadTV would become sour. While talking to an audience of 200 at the Upright Citizens Brigade Theater, Peele revealed that he left the sketch comedy show where he got his start on bad terms. You see, Peele was nearing the end of his contract with only a couple of weeks left. He was perfecting his Barack Obama impression at a time where SNL was looking for someone to impersonate him on their show. Peele's persistence in working on his craft would pay off as he would ultimately land his dream role. He would be offered the chance to join SNL after an audition, but according to Peele, MadTV wouldn't let me out of my contract. Being on SNL was a lifelong dream for Peele, as he felt this is exactly what he set out to do. After he found out that he wasn't going to be let out of his contract, he wallowed in self-pity and weed smoke. Peele was devastated. He thought, well, what does this mean? This means there's got to be something that I can put these skills into. There's got to be a reason I'm not doing this. Ultimately, Peele's contract would come to an end and he would leave MadTV. And as far as SNL, it didn't look like they could wait for Peele's availability and would utilize cast member Fred Armisen instead. It was at this moment where Peele had an epiphany. "They done f***ed up now," Peele recalled. He blamed the producers of MadTV for using his fate as chess pieces, and says he plotted his revenge like a comic book supervillain. "I wanted to be a producer. These producers are making these decisions about art and comedy, and they didn't know anything about art and comedy. I want to be a producer and bring my artistry to that, and they'll all be sorry." Peele realized in Hollywood that producers have a lot of power and decided that he was going to put his fate into his own ideas. During the 2007 to 2008 writer's strike, Peele began to develop several projects, one of them being Get Out. Peele still feels animosity towards MadTV. In 2015, he was invited to join the 20th anniversary special of the show, but he would ultimately decline the invite. You will note that I'm not present. That same year, Peele would get an opportunity and eventually debut his Obama impression in a series of shorts for Funny or Die. Fast forward to 2012, Peele's Obama impression would get an even bigger platform when Comedy Central teamed him back up with Keegan-Michael Key for their own series Key and Peele in the sketch Obama's Anger Translator. Peele has gone on record stating that he was able to do everything he wanted to do, writing and acting-wise on Key and Peele. If Peele did end up getting the job on SNL, who knows if Key and Peele would have happened. It also might have delayed his classic films Get Out and Us. Everything happens for a reason, and in this case, Jordan Peele's revelation to become a producer, instead of just an actor and writer, has awarded him the freedom to create his own projects, giving him the last laugh. Stay up to date with the latest news and comedy by subscribing here to our YouTube channel, and follow Comedy Hype across all social media. For Comedy Hype News, I'm Dom Smith.
Are you a comedy fan like us? Head over to the Comedy Hype shop for comedy collectibles and more. Go to comedyhype.com/shop and follow Comedy Hype Shop on Instagram.